Hello gamers and welcome to Game Warp. I'm Elwood
I'm Kim.
and this is our review of Yomawari Night Alone. Yomawari is a survival horror game created by Nippon Ichi Software for the PlayStation Vita and Steam. The game was released originally in Japan in October 29th, 2015 and has now more recently moved onto the Steam platform, bringing the handheld game through to a much larger PC audience. The game, if you're obviously not familiar with yourself, it is a survival horror shot very reminiscent in the style of Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, as you play a young girl who, while taking her dog Pura out for a walk, ends up in the situation where her dog goes missing, and soon after her older sister also goes missing, and she sets out to search this town to try and find both her sister and her missing dog, along the way finding and encountering the many spirits which haunt this town. This is a game which is got, first of all, it's very beautiful to look at. It's got very anime sort of style, and second, is also extremely challenging because this is a game where you have no weapons and you're revolving around hiding and using your wits to survive. But I mean, Kim, opening thoughts on Yomawari Night Alone. What did you obviously think of it?
Well, I have to say Yomawari was one that I had brought to the table because of just how cute it is, and I'm into like cute protagonists. And the little girl first, like, like you said, it's a really pretty game. There are some really cool mechanics, like the hiding ones. The creature designs are pretty nice. Like they're very well thought out. But the game is really, really brutal. Just so like I died so many times. I think by chapter 3 I had unlocked the achievements for more than like 30 deaths or something. And that's just crazy. It's when you think about it's really for people who can really get through that grind, who really can persevere through a tough game like this. It actually, playing this game made me feel a little like Little Nightmares, in the sense that every time Six died, my heart broke. And in this one, every time the little girl died, it was just slash, and then you got the blood splatters across the screen, and then it was just like, oh my god, I killed her again. Can I stop now?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprisingly brutal for such a cutesy looking game. And I think the aspect that you don't actually get weapons at all. You are basically required to just walk around this town and hide whenever you encounter one of these spirits, or try and outmaneuver them. In particular, you have the ability to sprint, but the more scared you are, the less ability you have when it comes to sprinting. So you have obviously the mechanic of being able to hide in the bushes, and when you do, you just cut up to this close-up of it, and you have this intense little heartbeat going away. It tells you how close the monsters are, which is certainly an unusual mechanic, and certainly an interesting one, but at the same time, it kind of would have been nice to have something else to give you some sort of edge against these ghosts, because a lot of the time it's just about trying to trap them on corners or just trying to outpace them, which can be a little bit frustrating, and it made saving at the shrines all the more important whenever you encounter a shrine, to make sure you save, because you can guarantee that if you don't, you're going to encounter something that's going to knock you back somewhere about 10 minutes from where you were, and it's just going to prove this constant sort of grate on you. And there are sections where it is this constant cycle of die, repeat, die, repeat, die, repeat that you're doing them, and the only way to sort of do it is to get your timings down. There's never any sort of like cheat way that I could ever find for it. There's a section with dog. I think it's around the second chapter. Yeah, and it was just the
Chapter
most
2, yeah.
painfully annoying experience, and you're frustrated because as I said, the game looks so cute. You would think, oh, it's going to go lie to me, but it doesn't. It's just, you realise very soon that the difficulty of the game and its graphical choices are two very different things altogether. So
Yeah, no, I mean, on what you were saying, I mean, I think one of my main issues with it was was actually what you mentioned just now. I don't know if I had a bug in my game or something, but one of the main things that I had an issue with was I wasn't sure about the quick save. I think the permanent saves were always in the room. And the quick saves were when you were playing. Because there was once that I didn't go back to the room and I did a quick save at one of the shrines. And it booted me back to my last checkpoint. So it meant that I lost an entire chapter, like almost an entire chapter of progress because I hadn't finished that chapter at the end of that time because I kept dying and I needed a break. But I don't know if that was just my issue. But then, I mean, there's also that, I think one of the bigger issues was really the fact that the heartbeat, while it really brought up that atmosphere and that kind of tension, it kind of got really annoying at a certain point because she would have heartbeat all the time. And it was just so annoying at a certain, like, I just found it so frustrating at a certain, like, I kept dying and all I could think about was heartbeats and heartbeats and heartbeats.
I mean, certainly I think one of the most frustrating aspects for the game is that within the first 20 minutes, it's basically showing you all its moves. The only thing that's going to really sort of change in this game is the locations you visit, the puzzles you have to solve, which I think is fine for some audiences, but for myself, like, the locations we're exploring, they're not overly interesting to begin with. I mean, it's this town that you're exploring, but while it's gives you this impression of being this huge map to explore, it's very much on rails because there's certain paths that will obviously be blocked off and you will constantly be finding yourself on this one path that you have to take if you wish to sort of proceed, and that was a little frustrating. I also felt, and this is I think probably going to be more just a quirk for myself, is the fact that while this is a handheld game, playing it on a platform such as Steam, it felt a bit exuberant. It felt like I could really get into this game if I'm playing it on handheld. So if I was like playing it on the Vita, for example, and I'm like in the doctor's office or I'm waiting for a bus or at an airport or something, I could really get into this game because it'd be a lot more immersive. If I'm sitting at my computer and playing this sort of game, I just couldn't get into it. My mind was wandering too much, and it was a lot harder to sort of focus in on this sort of game. And I think it was the fact that the style of game it was giving me here, this general exploration, and there being very little else there. It's go to this area, solve puzzle to progress further, and then you just kind of repeat as you go to different areas around the town and encounter different sort of ghosts and things. Yeah. But I don't know, it's just for some reason it just didn't sit with me while I was playing it on PC as it perhaps would have if I could play it as a handheld game. I think I would enjoy it a lot more.
I don't know. I really have no thoughts on whether it'd be better on a handheld. I mean, I played it actually on a pretty small. I played it on a smaller screen on my computer. I didn't do it full screen, so maybe I felt that it was a little more immersive. It didn't bother me that way. But I mean, I think another issue with the game is really the fact that, like you said, the story is pretty linear, and at a certain point, you kind of figure out where you want to go next. Sometimes her little diaries will tell you where to go next, and that's okay. I mean, the cutscenes are okay, but then there's that problem of the story itself not really like paced really well. Pretty much like the story is kind of really odd in a certain way, because I started feeling that way in chapter 3 when we ended up like searching. We were on a search for the sister and the dog, and then all of a sudden we're meeting this ghost, and then this ghost girl is trying to kill us, and then all of a sudden it's just like a little lesson about, oh well, all these spirits are sad also, I should be nicer to them. And then you're just kind of like, okay, so what happened to Sis? Are you gonna go find Sis now?
Yeah, I mean, the opening where you're going for the tutorial of how to throw the stone, and the dog chased after and gets hit by the truck, which then goes off the cliff. And then I was like, oh, that was kind of a little dark. And then suddenly it's like, oh no, the dog has disappeared. And I was like, no, the dog just got hit by the truck. I didn't understand where it was going with that. There were so many aspects to this game that I didn't particularly get. I mean, the story itself isn't particularly the most immersive of stories. It's sort of like you're looking for your dog, you're looking for your older sister. And it felt like
Yeah.
it felt as you were progressing. There's not like, oh, I'm gonna get these I'm gonna get these little chunks of story, but I never seem to really get anything. I go, oh look, there's the dog. I see a glimpse of the dog. I must chase after the dog. This was how it was choosing to tell me the story, and all the while you're encountering these like Studio Ghibli style creations that all want to chase after you for no apparent reason,
Yeah.
apart from the fact that you're there.
Yeah. It's really weird because it's like suddenly you've lived in this town all your life, and then all of a sudden tonight, when you're by yourself, the spirits are like, I'm gonna eat you now. You suddenly have that power that, you can feel me and all that stuff, and it's a really odd feeling. Like, the story doesn't have a lot of sense to it. But I do have to give them credit where it's worth, in the sense that, like, the little girl, who we call her little girl because she doesn't have a name, is incredibly adorable. Like, she's, especially like when she's hiding in the bushes or something, and there's certain angles where you hide. It's like how my cat would hide, where she thinks she's hiding, her head's hidden, but her body isn't. And at a certain angle, sometimes you hide, she's just like crouched next to the bush. And you're like, okay, well, the spirits are going to find you for sure. Am I going to die? Like, the first few times it did that. And then they don't. But you can see really, like, the design. She has, like, this cute little pink bow in her hair, and she has a little bunny backpack, and she's just so adorable. Like, it's like you want to fight for her. You want her to win. You want her to, find Poro and find her sister. And that's really nice, in the sense that, like, she's able to, like, she's the main immersion of the game. Like, she's like such a cool character design, I guess. And I mean, like, it also goes to, like, the creatures and the spirits and all that stuff. They're really well designed. They're really cool to look at. And you're right, it is a Studio Ghibli sort of style, and it works really well. But that's the problem with the game, is that what it has is beautiful design. The map is really nice. It's like in crayons, and you kind of really feel like you're playing as a kid. But then, there really isn't that much to the story. Even when you play till the end, it's still very lackluster in a certain way. It doesn't progress really well. It doesn't pace very well. It doesn't seem to develop very well. There's some hidden messages there. I think there's some, like, if you've probably, like, read all the signs in the street or something, you'd probably really get the idea that this town is kind of, like, going through a modernization or something, and the spirits are kind of getting washed out by the modern buildings and shops and stuff coming in, and that's kind of, like, what I felt. But I don't know if that's a message that they intended on telling. But yeah, I mean, like, other than, like, having cool mechanics and cool design, I really felt like Yomawari was a little disappointing, sadly.
I don't know. This could have been something a little more special for myself. I think it just feels like most of the parts are there. It's just missing something, whether it be a more interesting sort of story or just, I don't know. It's kind of refreshing, I guess, the fact that you have to hide from your enemies, that you don't have any way of really attacking them. I think that's kind of refreshing. So whether to add something to remove that would be detrimental to the game or not, it's hard to say. But
I honestly, just before you move on, I'm just saying, like, as a little girl, it makes sense that all she has is a flashlight and that sort of thing, right? So I think that justifies it. I think that makes sense.
okay. I don't know. It just felt all the while I'm playing this game, it's missing that one element to make it really sort of stand out for myself. And I think as well the fact that it's the fact that your encounters with the spirits and the fact that you're constantly having to try and jam them behind a stray pix or something, it becomes a little frustrating, especially when it comes to getting away from the spirits. There's certain times when they're just constantly on top of you, and it just became an absolute pain in the ass to try and lose some of these spirits because they're just so much faster than you can move. It's certainly an interesting game, it's certainly a nice looking game, but at the same time it's just a game that is just missing something for myself as a player. But I can at the same time I can see other people completely really enjoying this one. But for myself, it just felt like it was missing something.
So what score would you give Yomawari Night Alone?
Well, I'm going to give it a 3.3 out of 5 for the reasons I've said already. I think you're either going to love it or you just won't get it. But yeah, for myself, it's going to continue our trend at the moment of 3.5s.
Yeah, so I'm exactly right there. I was debating between a 3 and 3.5, but I really do like it. I'm not such a fan of the brutality of the game and how hard it is and the dying over and over again. I'm at a phase in my life right now where I don't really want to play a game where I die over and over again. It feels really frustrating. But no, I mean, the game has its merit, but it is, like you said, it lacks a little something to make it better. And that's it. Our score is 3.5 unanimously, which is quite surprising for us. And this wraps up this episode. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Head over to our home base, thatmomentin.com. Keep forgetting to change that to get gaming news every single day. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook at Game Warp Podcast. You can also hang out with us on our Twitch channel where we stream at Game Warp Podcast, and check out our gaming obsessions over on Instagram, instagram.com/GameWarp.